Hello, people. I am Marcia Cristina, author of the books Ethics in the Workplace and Ethical Conduct and the Corporate Sustainability. Before I begin, I would like to thank you for being here and joining my channel in this very sensitive theme, ethics, that is so very absent in everybody's lives in some aspects, right? Those who know the corporate environment certainly have intimacy with the guidelines that come from the compliance committee. For those who have never worked in large companies, I'll explain what the compliance committee does. All over the world, companies have created the compliance area, which sets standards to ensure that everything in the company is compliant. So, the compliance committee is the one that sets the procedures, the norms to be followed by all employees in order to ensure that the company acts within the laws, regulations, and internal standards. Thus, compliance acts in the prevention of errors, involuntary or for proposed, deviations, and other non-conformities in the execution of all employees' work to avoid losses, deficiencies, lawsuits, accidents, and other losses. Issues related to business ethics are also part of the compliance committee. Let me ask for something before so that the messages of this channel reach more people. Please, if you think this is an important subject, share this video. Tell me if you like it or did not like. Okay? I would also love if you subscribe the channel and click on the bell. So, the reasons I just mentioned explain the investments in compliance measures that become indispensable for the proper management of companies of all sizes. However, we see companies that have already invested heavily in compliance, including good ethics programs involved in scandals and losses, as in Brazil as in several other countries. I will mention a few examples. Wells Fargo Bank, Ford Motors, British Petroleum, and Odebrecht. Just search in Google these companies' names with the word scandal, and you will know more about each case. And there are many others. In Brazil, the most recent scandal was that of Caixa Econômica Federal, a federal public bank. The ex-president, Pedro Guimarães, who had been presenting excellent operational results, was denounced for the practice of sexual and moral harassment, especially the Caixa, a federal bank, where all employees need approval in a public contest to be hired and therefore have stability. Caixa was one of the pioneer companies in Brazil in the implementation of actions related to business ethics, corporate ethics, governance actions, and compliance. A scandal that surprised many people and led to the immediate resignation of the president, in addition to the removal of other senior managers. It proves that even companies that have already implemented compliance programs are subject to ethical scandals. Why? Why? Should not. It is interesting to realize that the responsibility of these scandals lies in the back of professionals' unethical attitudes who have power, make decisions, meaning a leader often in a top position of the company. After all, Only leaders have the power to commit sexual and moral harassment, right? And who are these leaders? Most likely, they are people who have worked and lived in the company for a long time, long enough to demonstrate a questionable profile, maybe selfish, maybe too goofy, vain, or proud. They are people with enough experience to know the risks involved in their questionable acts. They knew perfectly well they were doing something wrong, something unethical. Do you know why they do? They trust in their own impunity. Preventive actions are generally focused on preventing fraud, corruption, paying bribes, and money laundering. The code of conduct, policies of consequences, and channels of denunciation created and disseminated really address issues related to personal relationships. They speak about sanctions to practice of discrimination, moral and sexual harassment, and others, and establishes punishments for deviations. But, but, when the occurrences are related to the conduct of the leaders, a thick fog seems to cover the view of those who should inhabit abuse behavior, starting with managers who are above the defaulters in the company hierarchy. Do you know why? Because leaders of questionable character usually make good results. They are great in achieving goals and generating profits for the company.
So, the guy is not cool. Yeah, that's true. But he collaborates so much with the results. My results since I'm his boss. Leave him there. His team suffers, but works well. The results are okay.
So, the leader of other leaders prefers not to inhabit misconducts. Do you know why? The answer is simple. What will they gain from it? If this leader is rude, narcissistic, arrogant, selfish, but does work, why to wear down the personal relationship knowing that it can compromise the outcome of business? If someone on the team has a performance worsening, it's clear that everyone's performance will be impaired, right? So the decision not to act is the omission, is extremely selfish and also unethical. Managers who choose to accommodate and not to educate their subordinates about ethical conduct are not concerned with the well being of the teams. They also do not see that the leader's misconduct inspires future leaders with their bad examples. There is the reason for all the scandals. Unethical leaders are very close to being also dishonest, or at least condescending to irregularities, because the line between these two characteristics is very tenuous. In the case of Caixa Econômica Federal, the Brazilian bank, who was accused of harassment, it was the president of the company. This is greatly complicates the situation. But still, there was omission of many managers and also lack of courage. You hit the same key again. The only way to reduce the risk is to invest in education for development of ethical awareness and education, in addition of teaching and guiding, include sanctioning unethical attitudes. It demands leaders to be educators, trainers of future professionals, and therefore examples of moral integrity. There are no compliance actions capable of preventing attitudes of those who decided to seek a way to circumvent, defraud, hide, or deviate. This decision is in the mind, in the soul, in the ego of the person. Only ethical consciousness can neutralize this urge. Thus, what breaks the investments to develop ethical awareness in this, if this is so important? There it is. It's because when this occurs, the current leaders, those who decided to implement an ethical education program, will also have to review their own behavior. They will have to give up ethically questionable liberalities. They are going to have to police themselves about their actions and reactions. After all, to collect ethical attitudes of the employees, they will need to set an example, and this creates discomfort. They will also need to stop defending and decide according to their own interests. The company's interests will be put first. Do you understand now? Yeah. As long as the managers insist on turning a blind eye to this evidence, many scandals will continue to happen. Moreover, unfortunately, work environments will remain unfair, increasingly hostile, emotionally, mentally, and physically sickening for many workers, and it's already happening, as you can see by the increased cases of burnout syndrome. That's it, people. Create, develop the ethical consciousness is fundamental to change the culture, and this needs to change the leaders' behavior at first. They are the example. They have to accept that they need to collaborate to create a better workplace where people can produce happily. Okay, thank you to listen to me. Bye bye, people.